Breaking news now from the Supreme Court. The justices have just issued a ruling over whether President Trump needs to turn over his financial records to House investigators and to prosecutors in New York. Our senior columnist, Rick Newman, is back to break this one down for us. So, Rick, in essence, does President Trump need to hand over those tax returns? Are we going to get to see them before the November election?
In essence, it looks as if, yes, he does have to turn over those tax returns. So this is only part of the story. There's going to be another ruling coming any minute. But in one case, this is the Manhattan district attorney who had asked to see Trump's financial records in relation to those hush money payments during the 2016 campaign. And the Supreme Court ruled 7-2, not really close, that yes, Trump does need to turn over those financial records. Now, that does not mean they're going to be public the day that Trump has to give those to the Manhattan district attorney. I'm not sure it's clear whether those will be public before Election Day in November, but at a minimum, they are going to the Manhattan district attorney.
Rick, if they are made public ahead of the election, is it a difference maker?
Depends what's in there, Brian. So here are the things we'd be looking for. First of all, does Trump pay taxes? I mean, does he? There's been a lot of speculation that he uses a lot of tax breaks that are available to real estate firms and developers to get his tax rate very low. Just for context, in his last couple of tax returns, Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee, he paid a tax rate of around 33%. So I think the odds are that Trump probably pays taxes at a much lower rate than Joe Biden. And if it's possible, he finds ways to get that tax bill all the way down close to zero.
You know, Rick, I'm now reading the Supreme Court for now has blocked House access to Trump records. Are we just going to be playing this sort of back and forth until, you know, we all go to the polls and are able to vote?
Well, you've got more news on that than I do. I haven't seen that. ruling.
Yeah, it's just crossing now, Rick.
Yeah. So there were actually 3 cases that the Supreme Court lumped all together here, and they're different. So there were 2 House committees that asked for fairly broad access to Trump's financial records, not from Trump himself, but from his accounting firm called Mazars, and also from Deutsche Bank, which is a lender to Trump. And they said they needed to see that information for legislative purposes. Now, they never spelled out exactly what those legislative purposes would be, and maybe the Supreme Court had trouble with that. The Manhattan district attorney's case is different. He said he's pursuing questions of possible wrongdoing. It's an actual criminal investigation. So the Supreme Court may have said we can see the merits in one instance, but not in the other instance.
Rick, how do you think the president will respond to this? Always hard to figure out, get in his head, but what do you think his response would be?
I think he's going to continue to throw a tantrum. I mean, this morning he's already, before this became public, he already tweeted in all caps, "Presidential harassment." So as with many other things, he considers himself a victim here, and I just don't think the story is going to change. He faces a real legal problem here. I mean, this is not just petty politics. Neither he nor his company have actually been charged for those hush money payments, which probably are campaign finance violations. So let's just go back in time. Michael Cohen, his attorney, one of the reasons Michael Cohen went to jail was he pled guilty to campaign finance felonies for his role in those hush money payments. So the Manhattan district attorney is trying to figure out, did that constitute falsifying business records? And of course, the Trump organization is under the jurisdiction of the Manhattan district attorney. So that is a legitimate criminal problem for President Trump. And states are allowed to prosecute a sitting president. There's this controversial federal policy that the Justice Department does not investigate sitting presidents, but that does not apply to states. And that is what's happening in New York. So this is not just a potential political problem for Trump, it's a legal problem as well.
Rick, yesterday, interesting op-ed by Tom Friedman in the New York Times. And he put forth this idea that Joe Biden should not debate the president if the president doesn't turn over his tax records. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I read that. It was interesting. I think it's meant to be provocative, but not practical. I think Biden, I mean, it would look weak for Biden not to debate Trump. I mean, think about what Trump has been saying about Biden. He has problems with cognitive ability. So Biden needs to prove that he doesn't. And if he were to say, I'm not coming out of my basement, I'm not going to debate Trump unless he releases his financial records, or just give Trump an excuse to say, look, he really is senile. I'm not saying that, but I think Trump would say it for sure. He really is senile. He's afraid to debate me. So I don't think Biden can do that. I think the smarter move for Biden would to take advantage of the national audience we're supposed to have 3 debates and continue to point out that Trump has not released his financial records. It's possible even by then, those are going to be in September and October. Maybe some of this information will have become public by then. So we'll know more.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.